Hey folks, so still kicking. Had to work most of the day today, and then I came home and wasn't really going to work much on the truck, feeling a little spent, but you know, once I got my hands on it, it's like when you're working out and you're sore and you just start working out and then all of a sudden you're not sore anymore. So I was only going to do one thing and I ended up doing a bunch of little things like game of inches. So I've had to add a couple safety reminders now that we're getting really close to first start. So I'll walk through those and then show you. Again, I was only going to do one thing today, and it was really just to do the fuel pressure regulator because I got my elbow in and I wanted to clean that box out, one box from Summit for one part. But let me flip it around and we'll go back to front. All right, so nothing back here. I didn't get a chance to get fluid, although I went right by it. I should have stopped. So real quick, the first safety I've done, and you'll see why, is I've taped the negative just in case. I've also taped the negative and given myself the check oil because I know I've got a bunch of oil that's short, including the engine. You'll notice I spent, I don't know, about 30 minutes while I was trying to figure out, how sore I was and just beat down. But I've cleaned up the wiring quite a bit. If you go back in the other videos, it's all kind of falling into the cabin. Now it's really up against the firewall, which is kind of where I wanted it. I still have all the Ron Francis connectors all kind of co-located next to the ECU, so easy for troubleshooting. I've connected the one power wire to the power distribution block. It's also grounded now, so all the grounds to the ECU are done. You'll notice I've got two cables now going to the battery cutoff. This is the one that goes to the power distribution box. So I'm leaving that, and that switch right there, because the back of it's all exposed. I'm not sure where it's going to go. Is one of the main reasons I did the safety on the battery. So don't want to shock yourself or others, I suppose. So I got the fuel pressure regulator in, and hopefully you can see that. I basically clocked it at 50. I'll probably, thinking for the show I'll leave it like this, but really what I typically do is clock it so that straight up and down is the fuel pressure, and the book says to check it at 55 psi with the vacuum disconnected. I still have to do a vacuum line from here to the manifold, but I've got the fuel line run now. I don't know if you can see that. There it goes, but it's down the back. And then I also added the the heater bypass hose, so that's also in. So that's all closed up and done, both sides, just one small hose clamp. And then you can see on this end, there's the 90 I was waiting on. So I still have the factory style connector, but it's just back here instead of being up here. So kind of still in the theme of, let me back this out, keeping it clean. One correction that I was saying that this is the alternator wire. This is actually the oil pressure sensor for the engine. The Gen 2 harness doesn't need it, so I will be cutting this off right after first start. And then the last thing I just did, well, let me back up. I went ahead and hooked up the remote oil filter, and it's tucked in nicely right there. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to see. It's black, so it's going to go away. See that? That looks pretty good. I've done the alternator wire So the alternator is completely wired up. And then the other part of the safety reasons on the battery is that the starter is completely wired up. So I even went as far as to zip tie everything. So that's it. Here's the one wire going to the alternator right there. So that's nice and clean. Let me back up a little bit and you can kind of see the arrangement right there. So other than a header on this side is pretty much done in the O2 sensor. So it's looking pretty good. Again, it ended up only going to be like, I was going to do one thing and I ended up just really chugging along on it. These are all like minor things that they just end up being, about, 2 or 3 hours, and it's basically the difference between starting this weekend potentially and next weekend. I'm going to be close on the Sunday. I started to think about all the little things that need to happen. Again, trying to knock some of these out. But with me having to move my car on Friday to the car show, should have most of the day Friday. Saturday is the car show, so that's like 10 to 5, so I lose huge amount of build time there. And then Sunday, so let's see what happens on Saturday when I wake up, get some stuff done before the car show, maybe get gas, I've got gas, put gas in the tank. I'd like to actually turn the key and hear all the systems come on and just do one more pin out on the rewire that I did on the ECU to the engine. I do have all those wiring schematics. Actually, let me see, stand by. Okay. So let me turn this around. What I did is I went online and I was able, and you're not going to be able to see this probably in the video, but we've got the main harness pin out right here, and then there's actually 2 pages to this, but really I only messed around with the fuel injectors and the coils. I'm going to make see if I can get this down. You can see that some of the, like for this one right here, fuel injector driver 5.2, and depending on the pin out or what car you have, you'll have like 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, 5.2. So that's kind of neat. And so basically all I need to do is check 16 connections just to double verify everything's in the right place. And then I've got to get with Wayne Presley from Very Cool Parts and get the tune that he's put together for the truck, so it should fire off if the Eric factor didn't come into play and I didn't mess anything up. Yeah, and I think that's about it. So I'll just keep moving along, just plugging away at the little small stuff. I don't want to just cobble together anything when we get ready to actually turn that key. Don't need something to touch or spark and then take out the ECU, and then we're just not going to make SEMA if that happens. So, and I surely don't want to break the flat plane crank motor. So other than that, I think we're in good shape. Thursday there's a huge pallet showing up. I guess I got a little dirt right there, don't I? Yeah, so we got a pallet showing up, and it's got the cool floor. So that's kind of why I was saying I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to get first start, because I really want to get first start this weekend, but I really need to get the floor in so I can have the floor in, for done. Make sure it's all done. I don't want to just start for the sake of starting and then have to go back and start taking the floor apart. So one thing at a time, just stay focused, but we got some stuff done today. So we'll see you tomorrow.